The police are very different to the SAS in many ways, but they're very similar in others. Gathering intelligence is crucial for building a criminal case. It's also vital when planning a military operation. Everything we do in the SAS is based on intel and planning. You don't go over a border into enemy lines or through a door until you know the intel. That's the difference between success and failure. It's all 500 hours, early morning, and we're just about to pay these people a quick visit. It's going to be a simultaneous strike, a rude awakening. Stand by. Here in the Midlands, I'm meeting an enforcement group called the Illegal Money Lending Team. They're a special squad of elite investigators who work alongside the police. They're made up of ex-coppers, soldiers, and trading standards officers. This team have had intel that suggests a loan shark is operating in the area. It's classified intelligence, and they have a target address where they believe the suspect lives. Just like in the SAS, we'd use this classified intel to make an entry and search. And that's what the team has planned today. Morning.
Morning.
Early morning call.
Morning.
These officers don't want to be identified as they work on covert operations. Something I also had to get used to in the SAS.
We've got a warrant to execute an address for a potential illegal money lending loan shark, and I'll be effecting the arrest.
In a cost of living crisis, illegal money lending has become a massive national problem. The team here plan to find out if the loan shark intel is correct.
The plan today is we're going to go to the address. If I can have a couple of officers with me to the address, please. If we get any resistance for entry, if you've got MOE equipment to enter the premises with force. Once we gain entry into the premises, we'll identify the subject and I'll speak with the subject.
The team need to use military precision to enter quickly because evidence in the suspect's home is crucial. If the intel is correct, there should be loan books or spreadsheets showing how much money the suspect has lent and who he lent it to. Do you take the hard drives?
It depends what there is, really. We'll take all documentation, cash, electronic devices.
Phones, USBs.
Everything linked to potentially what we believe to be an illegal money lending business, yeah. So anything that's capable of retaining evidence, storage devices.
Experts believe that loan sharks operate in all of Britain's major cities. As many as 1 million of us could have borrowed from sharks. £3,000 is the average people borrow, according to one survey. But they'll pay back at least 4.5 to the loan shark.
I remember working with someone who borrowed a very small amount of money and ended up paying back £90,000. He borrowed £500 originally. I think loan sharks are amongst the worst types of criminals, to be honest. In terms of the impact on people, I think we've seen people in a really bad state because of loan sharks, and sometimes you can't see it until afterwards.
I speak from experience. Mates, ex-soldiers have used loan sharks and got into big financial issues. So I want to find out what similar tactics they use to the SAS. What's your timeline between quiet entry to noisy entry? How much time do you actually give them to answer the door or...?
Well, obviously we need to make sure there's somebody present in the premises.
Yep.
We're trying to identify and get entry with consent. If they're obviously there and they're telling us that they're not going to open the door or they're deliberately just trying to stall us, and obviously we need to get in and secure and preserve any evidence as quick as we can. So obviously from that point of view, we would then go to forced entry.
Okay, let's go. This is going to be all about timing. Just like in the SAS, the element of surprise is a powerful way to subdue the enemy. Let's do it. After weeks of gathering evidence, it's time to go and make first contact. Okay, here we are, pulling up on target. Brings back a few good memories, mate, of surprise.
Hi, Dave.
All right, tickets,
go now.
Okay, so that's the team now in position at the front door, covering the front door, front windows, and the rear. So there's no way of escape now. Any runners, they'll be caught straight away.
Please, open the door, please.
Going for a peaceful entry. They've now made communication with the people in the house.
30 seconds.
Hello, it's police. Hello, good morning, sir. What's your name, please? OK, so I've got a warrant and I'll come in, please, and have a chat. OK, thank you.
Entry's been made. That's a team going in now to start collecting the evidence and detain the suspects. It's all about timing. They're given a set amount of time to go in, so there's no evidence that can be destroyed. And it looks like they're playing ball at the moment. Full team's now inside, and the suspect has been detained. In the SAS, gathering intel can sometimes be a dirty business. If you're required to go through the enemy's trash and rubbish to get that intel, that's exactly what we'll do. But now, there's an elite bunch of civilians who look at everything that we throw away. Emma Viner is an enforcement and investigations manager for the Environment Agency. Waste crime costs the UK nearly £1 billion a year. But Emma's work saves the taxpayer millions. Today, she's on her way to Felixstowe to look at some recycling.
The container that we're looking at today was destined for India. It was described as clean paper and cardboard. It's likely to have gone to a paper mill in India, so it's travelling some distance around the world.
The shipment should contain nothing but recyclable paper, but Emma suspects that's not the case.
So with this particular container today, they've described it as waste paper being exported. So we're looking for any contamination in that, anything that doesn't meet that description of clean paper that can be recycled abroad.
So today's job, we're going to be evidencing that container over there. We believe it might have some contaminants in there that would be illegal to export to where it's going today. Inside, we're looking for any kind of plastics, metals, tin cans, anything like that. Anything that isn't paper and card, we're going to take out and extract. So the time is now 9:30. Are we ready to go and open it?
Yeah.
Yep. Cool, let's go.
The team here work with intelligence gathering officers, just like we do in the military.
So we're going to be taking the bales out, splitting them apart to see whether there's any contamination inside them. It's a pretty labour-intensive task, so each bale will need to be removed from the container so we know how many bales it contains. The team then need to break them, all the material will be laid out on the floor and they'll be manually picking through it, looking for any contamination. Looks
like the intelligence was correct.
So from our first visual inspection of this bale, we can see plastic, black bags, fabric-type material. So even on the surface of this bale, without breaking it open, we can see that it's not waste paper or cardboard as it has been described. The bale has been broken up now, so we can start working our way through it to see what's inside it.
The bale should be all paper and cardboard, but the Environment Agency believe misdescription is one of the most common types of waste crime in the UK.
So if you look at the size of this area, it's a lot of stuff that shouldn't be in that container.
This could be bad news for the UK economy.
So if this material gets to its destination, if it doesn't meet the standards they're expecting, there's an expectation on us to bring it back to the UK. The cost of that can be substantial. We've had cases in the past where we've had 200 containers returned from overseas, and that's cost us somewhere in the region of about £2 million, so quite a substantial cost to our UK economy.
Across the UK, illegal exports are believed to cost £43 million a year, so the team will check more bales. So why might the company in charge of this recycling let this happen?
The amount of money to be made in illegal waste activities is substantial, really substantial. That can be comparable to other really serious criminality such as drugs offences, firearms offences.
Sorting the bales properly takes time, which costs money. And anything they pull out also costs to be disposed of. It's easier and cheaper just to ship it out unsorted.
This is a criminal offence in the same way as the criminal offences that people do know about, and this is dealt with as a criminal investigation and will end up in a criminal court.
And Emma and her team have the power to do that. Emma's team work all across the country. On a different day, they're on a whole new operation 200 miles away in Yorkshire. They're holding a briefing with police before heading out to arrest a suspected major fraudster.
We'll do a Section 32 search for him as arrested, and then we'll come back and execute the warrant. Right, let's get going.
We are on our way to a residential property in the Leeds area, and the plan is to effect an arrest of an individual and search the premises linked to him. This is in relation to an Environment Agency investigation, and we're being supported today by the police and by the National Crime Agency.
Recycling firms can claim cash credits from the government based on how much recycling they've done.
In this particular case, the evidence we gathered so far shows that the companies and the individuals involved with this haven't handled the waste that they say they've handled. So there's likely to be false documentation saying that they've handled a huge amount of waste actually, and that that's been legitimately processed, but our evidence shows otherwise. So they've effectively been claiming these recycling credits and receiving the financial benefit from that for work that they've never done. The investigation as a whole, we're looking at around an £8 million fraud. So as you can imagine, that's a huge amount of waste that would need to be handled to claim that £8 million benefit.
75% of waste crime goes unreported. But if Emma and her team suspect you've committed fraud, they'll bring in the police to carry out arrests.
Well, please. What's your name? Right, stand there, Regan, stand there.
Striking early is a tactic. The team hope to catch the suspect asleep. And it's worked.
So we're in the property, the individual was here and he's being arrested, so the police are dealing with the arrest.
And now the team start the search for anything that might show a link to recycling that was never done.
The search teams will remain here, do the search of the property and another property associated with this individual whilst the interviews are being undertaken by another part of the team.
The suspect is coming in for interrogation. For the Environment Agency, this is their chance to ask him the tough questions about fraud. In my experience, once a suspect is interrogated, they are more likely to tell what they know.
The arrest was successful. The police went in, arrested him, seized a mobile phone from him. The digital devices are particularly helpful to look at who they've been communicating with, establishing the different roles within the network. Laptops may contain things like doctored documents, which would show us how much waste they've handled and how much of that waste is fraudulent. There might be information in there about the finances and how those finances have been distributed. These operations are always really well planned. There's a lot of thought, a lot of planning that goes into them. So by the time we turn up at the door, we know exactly what's going to happen, who's doing what, and they run really smoothly.
It's good to know the Environment Agency is working with the police to crack down on these types of crimes, and they have the right tools to catch the suspects. Part of my job is protection, either as an SAS operator or as a bodyguard for VIPs. There are also experts whose job is to protect members of the community. These unsung heroes spend their days looking out for others.
Lobson, who's the sea taxpayer on this? Is it the landlord?
In Waltham Forest Council, there's a team whose mission is to protect the people against rogue landlords.
The tenants, we expect there might be 6 or 7 tenants in the property.
Julia Morris and her team are here to execute a warrant on a suspected unlicensed HMO, a house with multiple occupancy. Landlords make massive profits renting out unsuitable homes with too many tenants under one roof.
We know from the outside that the property is in extremely poor condition and completely unsafe for those tenants.
The nature of rogue landlords make the exact number of them across the UK hard to gauge. But according to the latest figures, around 1 million privately rented homes are estimated to fail the government decent homes standards.
Look at all this.
Hello, from the council.
We've got a warrant. We are going to be coming in anyway. We noticed a poor state. As you can see, there's glass panes missing from the windows, poor disrepair. We have managed to get in, so we're going to go in now in the purpose of doing a full inspection to protect the tenants. Hello, we're going to be coming into the rooms. We have a warrant, so if you're in, can you come down, please?
The team are inside, but each room has a lock. The tenants are wary and unsure what's happening. But they aren't the target today. The landlord is. Julia and her team are used to this.
Can we speak to you for a moment? Nothing to worry about. We're just here to do an inspection. No one's in any trouble.
It's clear from the moment the team step inside that the state of this house is uninhabitable.
It's just terrible that people are having to live in these conditions. You see the ceilings come down. So there's some severe damp under the front window. No smoke alarms anywhere.
Julia has noticed another problem that could be fatal.
So this is the rear door that runs off of the kitchen. So if there is any fire and they want to go out the back, they'll open this rear door. There is a metal gate there that is locked with no key in there. So anybody who's trying to escape, they're just going to be hit by a metal gate, not be able to get out at all. So extremely unsafe. It makes me really angry. This is probably up there with one of the worst I've seen. Hello, can I turn the light on?
As well as inspecting the property, the warrant is about gathering intel. Interviewing the tenants will give vital evidence against the landlord.
I'm really sorry to disturb you. You pay rent for this room?
Yeah.
How much do you pay?
£800.
£800 for this room?
Yeah.
Per month?
Per month.
So this property, number one, is not licensed, which is a legal requirement in this borough. But separate from that, there's a number of issues in here that concern us as a council. So we're here to protect you and make sure that your landlord keeps to his requirements. You know, we've spoken to the tenants. The landlord is making a substantial amount of income from this property. And, you know, obviously in this day and age, tenants are desperate to find somewhere to live. And they just see it as, okay, they've got a bed for night, which I understand, but it's so unsafe.
With the inspection complete, the dangers in this property have mounted, and Julia can't leave it this way.
And we've got cables hanging down that are just being held up by what looks like a bit of charging cable. We're not sure if that's live. So what we're trying to do now is get an electrician down here as an emergency.
As well as organising the emergency works here and ensuring the landlord foots the bill for it, the council do have other powers, including fining the landlord up to £30,000 or prosecuting them. The team see problems like this all over the borough. Another address, another warrant, a similar story. At this address, a landlord is suspected of renting out unlicensed units at the back of his home.
Hello, it's the council. Can you let us in, please? Hello, we've seen you come in. We do have a warrant.
The warrants mean that Julia can inspect all the properties, whether the tenants are home or not. The team are using specialist techniques as a method of entry. Minimum damage, maximum effect.
Here you go.
Hello, we was knocking. No, don't be embarrassed. We're here to protect you. That's what we're here for, okay? So let me just explain. Your landlord should have obtained a licence to rent this property to you.
Okay.
This landlord has not followed the law.
The back of the property is a rabbit warren of outhouses, and the condition of one is alarming.
So we've just managed to get access to this building, which actually just looks like it's a garden shed, but we've managed to get in. The tenant's not here. It's clearly living accommodation. This is so serious, we'll probably look at a prohibition order for this property to stop anyone living in this property. If this tenant is cooking on this hob and there's a fire, there is no means of escape. This tenant can't get out, and this is a wood structure. This is going to go up really quick. We'll be speaking to the landlord under caution regarding this.
The issues with rogue landlords are widespread across the UK, and the dangers are real. In London alone, around 6,000 people have reported concerns about their rental property through the Mayor's Report a Rogue tool online. Julia wants to make sure all tenants are aware of their rights.
Some tenants are really nervous to contact us as a service because they think it could jeopardise their tenancy. And I would say, please contact us. We would protect the residents, and it's so unsafe. We're finding this time after time again, and what we'd like to do is raise the profile and make sure landlords are fully aware that they just can't get away with it in Waltham Forest. We are constantly taking strong enforcement action against non-compliant landlords in the borough. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. See you later.
See you.
Bye.
Back in the Midlands, we are now 2 hours into the operation. I can't enter the house as I don't have clearance, but I've got a direct line of comms with the team. So what's going on right now in there is the suspect is detained in an isolated room from the rest of the family. The rest of the family are now put in a back room and overwatched while the search takes place. The search team comms continue to filter back to Dave, and something has attracted their attention.
There's been some attempts to try and secrete some evidence in the property. But when we've gone in and the police have gone through the rooms and flushed the rooms out, that's been prevented. It appears that some of the individuals may or may not be privy to what's been going on because of the reactions of what we had when we went in there. We've caught people, not the main subject, but other people that were in the address trying to hide evidence, but that's all been secured.
It remains to be seen if that's the case. But it demonstrates the need for that rapid entry. But you don't always have to go like thunder if you've got a plan. In the SES, I learned multiple ways of tracking people and equipment. And in the UK today, there are people using military-grade technology to track items stolen by criminals. Richard Taylor works for a theft recovery service.
We provide a 24/7 security service where if their assets get stolen, we go and recover them wherever they are in the UK or in Europe. It could be a digger, a motorcycle, a push bike. It doesn't really matter what's stolen, what it's attached to. We just then connect to the device, find its location, and send out our operatives to find the asset with the police.
Similar to the military, the tracking technology uses GPS and radio signals.
You can look at what the Army use or what the Navy use. If you vary the technology, you're going to keep the criminals guessing. The equipment we use is accurate to less than 1 metre, and our average recovery rate is 98%.
So, how does it work? Richard agrees to show me his technology in action. I've used stuff like this in the field. For security reasons, details of this system need to be blurred.
So I've got an analog direction finder, so it picks up radio signals on our secret frequency. So the tracking device will be emanating a pulse, and we'll pick it up on this device.
We've hidden the tracker on a car nearby. Richard doesn't know which car, but has to find it.
So I've got the pulse already, and it's just a question of walking around into the car park and checking each direction.
I'm curious. How long will it take Richard to find the device using his scanner?
Okay, so the tracker is emanating the RF, and I need to go to the loudest direction. So in this direction, I can hear it quite loud. Round in this direction, not so loud. So I don't want to go that way, I want to go this way. It's definitely louder this way. Nothing in this direction, so I'm ruling out this side. We're homing in on a couple of vehicles here on a level 3. I need to get it to a level 2. This is increasing in RF. I've got a signal in here. It's no stronger in the passenger area, so it's coming louder down there. It's quite loud from the base of the car. Champion.
Under 5 minutes. Not bad. So we've seen how it works in a controlled test environment. But what has this military technology done to help find real stolen goods?
The sensation of riding is it's a great experience, and sensations you get cornering, the acceleration sense that you have, the fun riding with mates. The places that you go to is a journey for me.
Jeff Keats was very proud of his IN touring motorcycle.
That bike, when I bought it, the way I spec'd it out, its value would have been in excess of £20,000 easily. It was the type of bike that I felt proud to own. It was definitely my dream bike.
Jeff was so proud of his bike, he bought a military spec tracking device in the hope that he would keep it safe.
The first I realised that there was an issue was seeing on my mobile, which was actually on silent, that I'd been called several times by the company that I used for a tracker for the bike. I phoned them back straight away and they said, we've detected some movement on the bike.
Jeff checked the garage and saw his bike was gone.
I couldn't quite believe that it had happened to me. You know, this is not a high crime area. By that point, I'd thought to myself, you know, there's no way that we are going to ever see that bike again. I fully appreciated I had a tracker fitted to the bike. I thought, these are probably a professional outfit that have taken it. It's gone. What I didn't realise was that as soon as I confirmed to him that the bike had gone, Richard was in his car heading up to my home from Southampton, and by that point, using the GPS system, he'd already located the approximate area where the bike was. So he was already on the way.
The military hardware was doing its job, and the signal was being picked up, whilst Richard recorded the mission on his iPhone.
We've got the roof antenna on, and let's just about a mile away. Let's see how we get on.
Richard did reconnaissance on the spot where the GPS signal was coming from.
Just beyond those houses, the other side of those houses is where we're picking up the signal. And I'm now waiting for the police.
Got my RF radio receiving equipment out, went round the site and identified that it was either coming from a white van or a garage.
While I'm waiting for police, I just thought I'd have a walk around the back of this street, and that white van is one of the vans that's suspect through that gap there. Might go over and just check it from behind, but I don't want to draw any attention to myself.
Jeff rushed to join Richard at the target site and saw the detection kit.
It did look like something that you could imagine Army or intelligence services using, sort of a handheld device that really honed in on the tracker in the bike. But we waited there for 3 or 4 hours until the police arrived and formalised that stakeout.
With police on the scene, they approached the van.
It's quite low on the back, 250 kgs that bike.
Oh, that's definitely my dust cover.
So are you 100% that that's your bike? Don't know.
That is, yeah, that's my bike. Yeah.
Military-style technology had foiled the thieves' plan to steal Jeff's bike.
You know, the fact that this stolen motorcycle was in the back of a stolen Transit, probably worth £200, you know, you can't see it. And the whole idea is they're trying to shield it from being found.
The thieves in this case, they were never caught. You know, maybe it will happen in the future, who knows. The main point for me is the tracker did its job. I got my bike back. My life's back to normal.
In the regiment, you are trained to track and hunt down the enemy and bring them to justice. And it's the same with criminals. Just like in the military, when the criminals are hard to catch, you have to take a different approach. Avebury in Wiltshire is a World Heritage Site, famous for its historic monuments and arable farmland. But unfortunately for Benjamin Butler, a fourth-generation farmer, it's not just ancient relics that are present on his land.
We've had a report of some fly tipping in amongst some trees on our land. We're heading out now to investigate. Sadly, it's not a surprise when you get a phone call about fly tipping these days. We're probably seeing fly tipping in one of our fields, probably monthly at the moment.
Despite there being a household waste recycling centre only 4 miles down the road, the secluded lane on Benjamin's land has become a hotspot for fly tippers.
So here we are, we've just arrived at the site. We're parked on a byway, which is obviously public access. As you can see on the right here, this is some previous fly tipping from a few weeks ago. Someone's dumped some tyres here. We're also getting people coming here of an evening. There's a lot of cider, beer cans, other alcoholic waste. And then if we step over the log into the field, you can see amongst the other debris on the edge of the field, this is the recent report of the fly tipping in this field, which can be distinguished, I suppose, as plumbing waste. 2 baths stacked together from someone doing a bathroom fit out. So deeply frustrating.
And to add insult to injury, Benjamin must front the cost of cleaning this mess up because it falls on his land.
It's just mindless behaviour. I just don't understand it. And people wouldn't like it if I went and tipped my rubbish in their back gardens, and this is what it is paramount to. They would have to clear it up. Likewise, I've got to clear it up. They're obviously coming early morning, late evening, under the cover of darkness. I've yet to catch anyone actually doing it. I will report this to Wiltshire Council and see if they can build a case around it. Fly tipping is illegal. These people are criminals, and it's a really lazy way of going about getting rid of rubbish.
Wiltshire Council are taking fly tipping seriously and rely on reporting from proactive members of the public like Benjamin. But if you thought fly tipping was a solely rural issue, then you'd be wrong. The borough of Lewisham in London is a far cry from the quiet lanes of Wiltshire.
Well, this is fly tip waste, so you've got your classic black bag, which is the definition of fly tipping, a black bag or more, and a mattress. And then you've got, you know, fabric, much loved by rats, as is food. So, yeah, just generally incredibly depressing and hazardous. It makes me angry. It's appalling that people should have to wake up to this kind of devastation.
As CEO of the environmental charity Keep Britain Tidy, Alison Ogden-Newton is all too aware of the damage done by fly tipping.
Fly tipping is a crisis in the UK. It's absolutely catastrophic, and it's very much on the increase. So we've got roughly about 1 million incidences that were reported last year, and many of those were very significant in size. We estimate there's about over 500,000 tonnes of rubbish was fly tipped last year, which the public purse had to pay to clear up.
It's estimated that fly tipping costs the UK over £100 million a year to clean up. These images show how the empty spaces of Lewisham have fallen foul of fly tippers.
Fly tipping is contagious. So when you see a site that looks like it's unloved and uncared for, people will add litter to litter and they will add fly tipping to fly tipping.
Much like the bathtubs that Benjamin found dumped on his land, these fly tips are potentially the work of unlicensed rubbish removal companies.
Fly tipping is one of those things that actually connects cities to rural areas, because a lot of the rubbish is collected in cities from individual households, particularly from flats, and then that rubbish will be brought together in a truckload, and it will be taken out in the dead of night and often dumped somewhere along roads or heading out into rural land. We call them Facebook fly tippers. They reach out through social media, they come to your home, they're not licensed waste carriers. They'll say they're going to take it away to the local recycling centre. They won't. They'll take it round the corner and they'll dump it. And what a lot of people don't realise is they'll still be responsible for that rubbish if it can be connected to them, and they'll be prosecuted because it wasn't legally disposed of.
Not just an eyesore in a built-up urban environment like Lewisham. These fly tips also have a negative impact on the community as a whole.
Fly tipping is devastating for communities, waking up to rubbish on the doorstep. It really is upsetting for people, and for communities that have to live with it on a regular basis. It undermines the value of their homes. It makes everybody feel unsafe. Fly tip parks aren't used very much because women in particular identify them as potentially unsafe spaces. It affects people much more profoundly, I think, than we understand, and that's why it is so important to clear it up.
But the residents of Comet Street here in Lewisham did more than just clean it up. After becoming fed up with the constant dumping of rubbish on their street, the neighbourhood came together and turned this vacant corner into a beautiful community garden.
The kind of initiative that we're looking at today is absolutely fantastic, and I find pretty inspiring. It's wonderful communities to get together and be able to do lovely things like gardening and working together, and kids can learn about how things grow. But there's also some quite ingenious measures here, like the bollards that stop criminals from backing up their vans and filling this space with fly-tipped waste.
Not only is this garden visually pleasing and an asset to the community, it also serves a more cunning purpose, and the fly tipping stopped overnight.
These things are important, and it's what makes communities wonderful as opposed to eyesores, which obviously nobody wants to live with.
In my opinion, this is a classic case of misdirection, straight from the SAS playbook. It's now 4 hours into the search in the Midlands. I'm waiting for what forensic teams can find. Classified intel gathered says there may be illegal lending going on. And one investigator has an update, but it's just speculation at this stage.
These have been seized as soon as we've gone into the property. Electronic devices, we're going to take these away to be examined as soon as we can to get the information from them.
What would you get from that, or what are you looking for?
We're looking for any kind of evidence that shows illegal money lending activity, any kind of information that will be saved on the device.
Fantastic, great stuff. Digital forensics is vital. Just like in the SES, we've built entire operations based on intel gathered from devices captured behind enemy lines.
So Dave and the team are still on target now. The primary evidence is already gone, so what they're doing now is digging in, finding the rest of the evidence and bringing it out bit by bit. They'll go into a deeper search, will take a lot more time. So that's Dave now just coming out with the second lot of evidence that's going to be required for this target.
We're still at the initial stages of going through the property, but it's became apparent initially that there's some further key exhibits that may be of interest to us in terms of evidence. So we're seizing these straight away. We've got some documentation that appears that it may be loan related. So we'll be seizing that and we'll go through all the documentary evidence to see if we can identify any victims from those. And obviously that will form part of the bigger picture of the overall investigation.
What sort of money do you think we're looking at? Is it hundreds or thousands? What is it?
Each case is on its own merits, and you know, it's difficult to ascertain at this stage just the amount of loans and victims and figures that we've got. But certainly in terms of other warrants that we've executed, you know, we've had loan sharks that are lending to literally hundreds of people, you know, and earning, you know, tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds. In some of the more severe cases. Other ones can be quite small amounts, so it might only be 10, 20 people within a local community, and they're only paying, you know, 10, 20 pound back, but it's a constant 10, 20 pound every week, every day.
Yeah, but I guess if somebody who's got no money, £20 is as much as £200,000 to somebody else. It's just the pressure them people are under, that these people are putting them under. Good effort. Let's see what we can unravel from all this.
And after intelligence, weeks of preparation and a search, the team decide there might be items of interest in one of the vehicles.
So the search continues. There will be no stone left unturned. The can of worms is open. Everything will now be stripped, searched, every bit of evidence gathered. If there's something in there, they will find it.
The team are after logbooks or electronic records that might detail amounts of money or names of people who may have borrowed. And Dave has got another update for me.
Right, so we're still in the process of systematically going through the property and searching. We've now secured some evidence in terms of documents that would indicate that other individuals within the house are perhaps involved with illegal money lending activities.
So the search has come up trumps. That's a good win.
The team are now looking at 2 suspects in the house and have seized a number of items of evidence. They want to ask more questions, so they decided to make arrests.
That's task complete, and the suspect is now coming out the door. It's banged up, job done.
But after digging through the evidence meticulously, Dave thinks a second person in the house has questions to answer.
Basically where we stand right now is we've already arrested one, taken away plus evidence, the search continues, and now most likely there's going to be a second arrest.
Absolutely.
This morning's operation, first light attack, delivered with military precision. The principles are exactly the same as any SAS style attack that you do. Straight in there, pincer movement around the building, locked it down. It's all about timing. Well done, the boys in blue and the IMLT. Nailed it. Second one banged up.
At the end of the day, it was all about the evidence.
Job done. Great job, Dave.
Ultimately, this was about command and control right from the start. Seizing the stronghold, making entry, detaining the suspect and gathering crucial evidence to build a case.